It's Sunday, May 1st, 2022. I'm TC Kirkham, and this is the Kirkham Report. Hello, guys and gals, peeps and VC people of all types. I'm TC Kirkham, the Kirkham Report, coming to you on Sunday again. It's supposed to be on Saturdays. I know. I will get it down. I will talk about that in a little bit. Lots of interesting things going on. This is going to be a shorter show because I virtually have nothing going on that I need to talk about here about other things going on elsewhere, which I will bring up in a few minutes. But right now, I want to talk a little bit about the announcement I made earlier this week and this, which I talked about on that show. And that's coming up in this week's cover story. Earlier this week, I made an announcement, last week actually now, on Tuesday, of a brand new website that the Kirkham Report is going to be launching. It has launched already. It's not in any major form yet, but it will be. It is called Record Store Rewind, and the purpose of this site is to remember record stores of the past, keep a record of current record stores, and those that open in the future. We want to provide a retail history of record stores. Now, I've been doing a lot of research this week, and I'm going to come to you guys for this. This is a crowdsourced site. Without your help, this will not work. You have to get involved. I'm looking for the VC to tell me what they're listening to, tell me where they're going to buy their music, tell me where they went to buy their music all their lives. Because the whole purpose of this is to make a record of the stores that aren't out there anymore that the current generation of vinyl champions missed completely. Now, the site's going to be divided into 4 sections. There's going to be a memorial section for those sites that aren't out there anymore. There's going to be a section for the sites and the record stores that are out there now. Record stores that weren't there anymore. Record stores that are out there are still out there. There's going to be a third section dealing with big bad box marts, and I will explain that on the website. And a fourth, we're going to talk about the record clubs, because those were a part of record buying. There'll be other stuff out there. I've been spending the last several days doing a lot of research on different things that are on my list, and I've got about 30 or 35 places on my list that I'm going to be adding to the site eventually. But we can't make this site work without your help. So I'm coming to the vinyl community, I'm coming to the vintage community, I'm coming to anybody who wants to watch this, who wants to help. We need information about the stores in your area that are there now, that were there, that have closed, that you frequented when you were younger. It can be when you were a kid. It can be just recently, if something closed recently. If it was a record store, its primary business was records, we want to know about it. I have a whole checklist up, and you can go visit the site. It's recordstorerewind.com. You can go over there and visit. There'll be a list of different things that we're curious about. I'm going to need some help from people in different areas, trying to find out the names of some record stores I don't remember. So if you lived in the 1970s or know people that lived in the 1970s in either Tacoma, Washington, or Wenatchee, Washington, I would love you to get in touch with me, because I'm trying to find out the name of some stores that I don't remember, that I was only in once or twice. Also, Newark, Ohio in the early 70s, and trying to find out names of small record stores that didn't last very long, but I remember going to. And I want to make this as complete as possible. We're going to need your accounts of shopping there, what it was like, how the clerks were, what kind of store they were, did they sell other merchandise like head shop stuff, posters, 8-track equipment, cassette equipment, so on and so forth, and the overall vibe of the store. And if you can provide logos and pictures, that would be great. Not necessary, but it would be great if we could find some. I want this to be a site similar to some of the other shopping sites out there, like deadmalls.com, which talks about dead malls, and Pleasant Valley Shopping, which is about shopping centers of the 60s and 70s, and I think it's Gross Etc. from the way it's spelled, all about grocery stores. I want to make this the premier site for record stores. Now, you can write to me, email me at tc@pnrnetworks.com. You can get in touch with me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Discogs, on YouTube, through the comments. You can get in touch with me everywhere, practically, or any of the places listed on my Connect with TC bumper, and come in and help, because I can't make this work without your help, and in a year I'd like to see it be a huge database or whatever. I'm going to be starting with my own stuff, and it'll start with small recollections, and then I'll expand on them. One of the places I'm going to be talking about is a place I worked for a year, Buzzard's Nest Records. Here it is. I just found this awesome shirt online a few weeks ago. I didn't even know they were out there. There's a couple of sites that specialize in defunct record stores. Shirts for defunct record stores. Buzzard's Nest Records was owned by the Buzz family from Columbus, Ohio. They had stores in, I believe there was 9 locations when I was working there. Lancaster, where I lived, was the only out of direct Columbus area where they had one. Everything else was in the Columbus market. There was one in the north end, a couple in the south end, and so on and so forth. We sold a little bit of everything. I worked at the Lancaster store for a year. It was my first real job. I had worked for my church when I was in high school and did a lot of babysitting and yard work and stuff like that, but this is my first honest, real job. I worked there from the summer of 1983 to the summer of 1984, or summer of 84 to the summer of 85. I don't remember which. But I worked there for about a year and had a great time doing it. Most of the people I worked with were fantastic, and customers were fantastic. I've told some stories about on my various sites over the years about working there. One particular one comes to mind. I told about which relates to the Murray Head song, One Night in Bangkok. I've told that a couple of times. It was record retail, and it got me into the business where I would later go into a lot more when later on in life I would work for the Transworld Corporation at several locations, all here in Massachusetts after I moved up here. And then I transitioned from Transworld to DiscJockey.com, one of the earliest internet radio stations. I worked there for a little over 2 years, 2.5 years, until we went belly up in the .com crisis because of the various issues in the .com bubble and the Napster suit from Metallica and so on and so forth. And I've kept my hand in things ever since. Buzzard's Nest was a great place to work. It was in a strip mall called the River Valley Mall, even though it wasn't a mall. It was a strip mall, anchored on one end by Kmart and Kroger on the other. Kroger, of course, for those of you who aren't in the Midwest, Kroger is the largest supermarket chain in America, actually, even though they're not in the Northeast and most of the West. And there were lots of great little stores in between. There was a mom and pop bookstore right next to us, and a GNC on the other side, and a few other businesses. And it was a great place to work. It was the summer, it was summer of '84 and the summer of '85 because Purple Rain was out. So we had all kinds of stuff. And it was, we did tapes, we did a few posters, we did a few equipment like converters, 8-track to cassette converters and stuff like that, and blank tapes, of course. But primarily, I was there before the CD was taken. George and his brother Wally had not yet adapted to the CD. They were still selling vinyl. And we had 4 racks four racks of albums and 4 cases of cassettes, and the oddball 8-track occasionally would show up in a cutout thing. Um, it was a lot of fun. Records were a lot cheaper back then, and it was a good sized store. It was the size of an average decent record store these days. And of course, they didn't sell anything used. We were selling all new, and we had the wall display with all the top 30 on it and such. Um, Overall, it was a very enlightening experience. I had a great deal of fun, and it was the first experience I had. Now, as I said later on, I would work for Transworld. I did it twice. I did it once in Lancaster. I was on the setup crew for the Record Town at River Valley Mall, the actual mall. And then I didn't. I wasn't chosen to become a regular person there, unfortunately. Um, so they gave. I would later hook up with Transworld again in the '90s in Massachusetts, where I worked for Record Town, Tape World at Coconuts, and a couple of times at Strawberries when they first purchased it. And I was basically assistant manager and assistant buyer for our local store. I was centered mostly at Coconuts and Swampscott. And there was, I traveled to different stores too for meetings and such, but it was a lot of fun. And I, would occasionally help out at other stores like Saugus and Medford. Medford or Reading. I don't remember if that was Medford or Reading. That might have been Reading or Stoneham. I don't remember one of the cities that had a Coconuts in the mini mall. I worked over there a couple of times. Um, Being a part of the record store industry isn't all that it's cut out to be sometimes, especially that time. And Buzzard's Nest was, a great place to work, but it was no exception. We had a Ticketmaster outlet, so on certain times it was just insane. When we had tickets coming out for RES Speedwagon, they blew out the door because they were really hot then. Princes Around the World in a Day came out during my run there, and they kept running shipments down to us from Columbus because we kept running out of that. It was so the line was out the door for that album when it came out. Um, it was a very fun part of my life, and one of the reasons why I remain loyal to indie record stores. For the most part. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody buys from a big box mart every now and then. Although, nowadays it's not always easy. Because you don't really want to deal with them if you can avoid it. But sometimes, I don't fault anybody that goes to Walmart when they have a big sale on vinyl. I don't fault anybody for buying an exclusive edition of an album that's only available at Target. That's fine. And once in a while, it's great. But for the purposes of being a regular general record buyer, I would rather stick with the indie stores, and most people in the VC would probably be that way too. So anyway, Record Store Rewind is going to be all about these kind of stores. And it's important that you take part. If you don't take part, the site's not going to go over as well as I'd like it to. And there are so many members of the vinyl community. I mean, I subscribe to close to 500 people, and I know there's way more than that out there. I'm always finding new people to subscribe to. And everybody has their favorite local indies, and everybody lives in different areas of the country, and everybody can do a little research and find out what was there in your area. That's what this is going to be all about, a collaborative effort within the vinyl community, the vintage community, the various communities out there that want to get involved and help out with this, because I think having a record of these stores is very important, pardon the pun, because so many of them are not there anymore. I mean, a good majority of them I went to when I was fresh out of high school in Ohio are gone. They're not there. And most of them went out of business while I was still living in Ohio in the 1980s and 90s. Um, these places deserve to be remembered. And even if they're a small hole in the wall, or they were around for just a few months or years, decades, they deserve a place to be remembered, so people can, if they shop there, can say, hey, I remember that place, and drop a line about, shopping there or whatever. Hopefully, we'll get a collective memory going about the record stores of the past, the record stores you currently shop at, and even those local big box marts that you don't like. Because, like it or not, the reason I decided to include some big box marts, and we're calling them big bad boxes on the site, is because most people who are now into collecting vinyl got their start at those kind of stores. For me, I didn't have a record store available until I was maybe 10 or 11, and I was buying records when I was 4 and 5. So I had Ben Franklin, I had a local malt shop in Utica, Ohio, I had Twin Fair in Newark that I would buy my music at. That's all I could, those are the only places I could go at first. And we want to remember those kind of retail establishments too, because they helped promote the record collecting experience, the record listening experience. So those play important, and a lot of those chains had their own record labels back in the 50s and 60s. They had their own custom Pickwick style labels that had re-releases on them. Grants, I know Grants did. I know Montgomery Ward did. A lot of them had their own labels with their own music, like compilations that some of the record labels would put there for them. And that's really cool too. So we want to remember that as well. The site is recordstorerewind.com. It's the Kirkham Report presents Record Store Rewind. And I really urge you to take the time and get involved. Leave me a comment in on this one, or on the original announcement. But better yet, drop me a line. You can get in touch with me at tc at pnrnetworks.com. Excuse me. And also several, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. There's a number of contacts I've had in that original. Go back and watch the original one, and help us put this together, because I think this is going to be a great deal of fun to do. I think it's going to be a great walk down memory lane for everybody out there to see where everybody else currently shops and where they used to shop and what they remember about where they used to shop. It'll be a great collective vinyl community experience, and I hope everybody will get involved. And that is this week's long-winded cover story. So we know that Alan Stone from Washington is the first official finalist in the first annual American Song Contest. He won the first semifinal, and we will find out the other 4 winners from the semifinals number 1 on this week's American Song Contest, Monday at 8 on NBC. The 4 that are going through are being selected only by the viewers. The jury's vote is not being tallied, so I honestly think that's the way they figured that New Boot Goofin' by Ryan Charles might actually make it into the finals, because the jury hates that song. So, but the fans have proven to love it. So 4 more, and then there'll be 5. The final competition, the final semifinals, is Monday night, May 2nd, with the finals coming the following Monday, May 9th, less than 24 hours before the debut of the 2022 Eurovision Song Contest. The winner of the American Song Contest will perform on Saturday in Turin, Italy, at the finals of the Eurovision Song Contest during the interval where people were voting. And it's going to be very, very cool. It was also announced last week that Canada is getting involved. There's been no further movement on Canadian Eurovision, or Eurovision Canada as it's being called, which really doesn't make any sense. I mean, Australia decides Eurovision makes sense because Australia is involved in Eurovision. They were especially invited to be a part of it. Canada's not going to be. Canada's doing their own. So why you're calling it Eurovision Canada, I don't know. But in any case, Canada is now going to be doing their own too. American Song Contest ratings have been pretty steady for about once the 3rd week hit or so. Steady rating. I don't know if it's enough, but I think it'll be enough for NBC to give it a green light for next year as well, which is a good sign. And if they don't, maybe somebody will pick it up. In any case, it does mean that NBC's streaming network, Peacock, is the home of the Eurovision Song Contest, at least for this year, and you will be able to watch both semifinals and the finals live on May 10th, 12th, and 14th, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific Time. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And if you haven't checked it out, I urge you to do so. Eurovision is so fun and so kitschy that if you are, I mean, heavy metal fans are not going to dig it, but pop fans will. Eurovision is a pop cheese fest, and it is well worth watching. This week on the Kirkham Report, I will be putting up a guide to the Eurovision Song Contest. I thought it was going to go through Monday through Friday, but there's only 40 competitors, so it's probably going to start Wednesday and go through Friday. And it's only going to be a 3-day instead of a 5-day like American Song Contest was. And it's going to give you an overview of the contestants, an overview of how the contest works, and the history, since many of you don't really know or care about Eurovision. I thought I would give you a little bit of how things have gone over the past, and that'll be coming up later in the week, probably on Wednesday rather than Monday as originally planned. In any case, the American Song Contest is about to get to its final destination next week, and it's very exciting because I want to see if it actually does fuel a hit on the radio, even if as I suspect it isn't necessarily the winner. As I said, Ryan Charles' New Boot Goofin' has actually exploded on streaming services, even though it finished in like second to last from the juries on both the original run and the semifinals last week. But I have a feeling it may actually be a hit this summer. We'll see what happens. I hope you'll check them out and continue to watch me as I bring you more on the Eurovision Song Contest and the finals of the American Song Contest in the next couple of weeks. Wow, that's going to do it for this week. I don't have anything else to tell you why, because I've got some interesting projects going on in addition to the launch of Record Store Rewind. And as a result, this week I'm going to take this week off. There won't be any of my regular shows, although there will be the Eurovision special that is on Wednesday through Saturday. And there will be, of course, Obscuria will be on every day at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time during the weekdays. But influencers and off the charts and rock and reviews, which have been off the last couple of weeks anyway, will be off this week again as well. So the next major full-length show you will see will probably be on next Saturday with this show. Although there is a chance I may do my debut Rank This with something to connect it with Eurovision the following week. So we'll see what happens. But in any case, I do have all this other stuff going on. I have a few projects in the works that are going to make the site and this channel a lot more interesting, so I hope that you'll be patient with me and just keep watching as I do. None of my Record Store Day purchases have arrived yet, so I didn't have an out of the box this week, and I didn't get anything from Dawn and Mary a couple of weeks ago during that auction. I have some more coming from this past week, but those aren't here yet and won't be here until in time for next. They'll all be here in time for next week's show. So in any case, I hope that you will continue to support the channel and continue to watch, because there's all kinds of interesting stuff coming. Also, check out the website, thekirkhamreport.com, where I am doing, I was behind because of what was going on, but I am catching up on my Eurovision countdown, giving my opinions of this year's Eurovision songs in the order that I like them, counting up 4 or 5 a day right now, because I'm trying to catch up so that they're done by the time Eurovision starts on May 10th. But in any case, check out thekirkhamreport.com for those. You can see my opinions, you can watch the video, you can learn about the songs, and it's a lot of fun. And I do have a lot of other things going on over there as well, and that's also about to change and doing some new stuff connected to Record Store Rewind. In any case, thank you for watching, and I appreciate your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It's always important. I really enjoy having you subscribe and watch my shows. And please leave a comment, especially if you're involved with Record Store Rewind. You can leave the comment here or on the original one, or drop a line to tc@pnrnetworks.com about that, or anything. I'm always willing to listen to you. You can always email me there about pretty much anything. I hope you've enjoyed this shorter show and my little reminiscences and my plugs for the new site. I really do think Record Store Rewind could be a great experience for the entire vinyl community and the vintage community, and we can have a lot of fun with it, and we'll see what happens. And for now, I'll stop harping on it and say until next time, I'll see you soon. I'm TC Kirkham. Ciao, baby.